As the mayor of Portland, and on behalf of all of us on the City Council, I want to address the deeply troubling events that began last weekend in Israel. We stand firmly with the victims who've suffered due to these acts of terrorism. These events have not only had a profound impact on those directly affected in Israel, but have resonated with communities all around the world, including right here in Portland. We recognize and empathize with the distress and the anguish felt by many in our community. I want to be clear. Terrorism, in all of its forms, is a threat to peace, to prosperity, and to the values of our city. We vehemently oppose and denounce the actions of Hamas. Thank you. We're now in session. Good morning, everybody. This is the Wednesday, October 11th, 2023 session of the Portland City Council. Please call the roll. Keelan.
Maps.
Here.
Rubio.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Wheeler.
Here. We'll now hear from legal counsel on the rules of order and decorum. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the Portland City Council. To testify before council in person or virtually, you must sign up in advance on the council agenda at www.portland.gov/council/agenda. Information on engaging with City Council can be found on the council clerk's webpage. The presiding officer preserves order and decorum during City Council meetings. The presiding officer determines the length of testimony. Individuals generally have 3 minutes to testify unless otherwise stated. A timer will indicate when your time is done. Disruptive conduct such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony or council deliberations will not be allowed. If you cause a disruption, a warning will be given. Further disruption will result in ejection from the meeting. Anyone who fails to leave once ejected is subject to arrest for trespass. Additionally, council may take a short recess and reconvene virtually. Your testimony today should address the matter being considered. When testifying, please state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. Disclose if you are a lobbyist. If you are representing an organization, please identify it. And for testifiers joining virtually, please unmute yourself once the council clerk calls your name. Thank you.
Thank you. First up is communications, item 836. First individual, please.
Request of Sarah Reeser to address council regarding road safety.
Good morning, Sarah. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
Good. Thank you for being here.
Sorry, Mingus Maps is not here. So good morning, Mayor Wheeler and members of the council. My name is Sarah Risser. I came here today to talk about road safety. I'll start with a reminder that nearly 50 people have been killed violently with unspeakable violence in Portland, the city that you have been elected to manage already this year. I know I'm not the only person who struggles to understand why you continually dismiss unnecessary and violent loss of life on Portland's roads by not doing anything decisive about it. I have listened to Mayor Wheeler and Commissioner Maps address what is arguably Portland's most pressing public safety issue, but I have heard little beyond a call for the culture of driving to change. I assume the belief is that this desired cultural change will be realized when all drivers commit to driving with care, never under the influence of drugs or alcohol, never distracted, never above the speed limit. This reductionist approach to road safety is underwhelming and problematic for two reasons. First, a desire for better driving is not a solution. Second, this conveniently shifts responsibility away from leaders in a position of relative power to do something meaningful and onto the people they have been elected to protect. If you do have a robust plan for addressing Portland's public safety crisis of road fatalities, I have not heard it. I find myself speculating on why you are doing so little. At best, I wonder if you believe the problem of road violence is intractable, that it's inevitable that drivers will kill people in transit, and we just need to try to not think about it too much. Yet there are inspired examples of other U.S. cities finding the political will and courage to address this problem. The city of Hoboken, New Jersey has effectively eliminated road fatalities. There is no reason why Portland can't hold itself to that same standard. If you aren't familiar with what the mayor and city council have accomplished in Hoboken, I implore you to study this example. At worst, I wonder if you believe the violent loss of life in road traffic is an acceptable price to pay to ensure vehicular traffic speed and throughput is not disrupted. I sure hope that is not the case. The change of culture to safe driving that the city of Portland needs starts right here with you. Mayor Wheeler and members of this council, you sit in a position of relative power. Time does not permit me to go into detail, but there is so much you can be doing, from broadening your understanding of public safety to include road violence, to not ever considering the rollback of safe biking infrastructure, to dispelling the falsehood that drivers subsidize cyclists, to acknowledge that cycling is an integral part of any robust climate and road safety plan. If you don't intentionally change the culture of road safety from your relative position of power, I believe you are complicit in any future road fatalities and are leading with as much willful negligence as a speeding or distracted driver. I know what it is to lose a beloved child to road traffic. I've had that experience. I know the cost of a road fatality goes well beyond the lost life, which is unimaginable in and of itself, and includes life sentences of debilitating grief. I've committed to using what little power I have to ensure our roads are safe. You have considerably more power than I do.
Good, I will comment. Thank you again for being here. I always appreciate your comments. I want to be very clear. I take this extremely seriously. What have I done specifically? Number one, I'm hiring more police officers. I pledged that we would have 300 new personnel in a 2-year period. We are ahead of schedule. This council has, unanimously supported the resources in order to make that a reality. Number two, during the height of civil unrest, we had to pull all of our specialty units, including traffic enforcement. That unit is now reinstated. We are expanding it. I've also asked the governor for additional state police support to be able to expand traffic enforcement. Number three, we have more cameras coming online. We know that the cameras work. Unfortunately, the way state law works here in the state of Oregon, which is, I think, fundamentally different than the way other states operate, is a certified sworn officer has to review each and every one of those situations. In other words, take an officer off patrol so they can review videotape. I would like to see that changed so that that could be done administratively, and then if somebody has a disagreement, then it could be a sworn officer who reviews it, or some other process. I agree with you that there are infrastructure and enforcement steps that a city must take, but I'm also going to stand by what I said earlier about the culture of driving. There is no question that the vast majority of fatalities that are taking place in our community are people who are distracted and inebriated, or both, behind the wheel. And so while you say I shouldn't put it back on the public, I absolutely will in part state that it is unequivocally the responsibility of drivers. If you get behind the wheel and you have text messages you need to send, or you're still buzzed from whatever your last high was, you should not be behind the wheel. Now, we should back that cultural movement with enforcement, with infrastructure, with lighting, with cameras, all of the tools that this council has the power and the authority to bring to bear. So I see it as an all of the above. And just last but not least, I strongly, as a cyclist, support improved cycling infrastructure. For me, separated lanes using distinct infrastructure is far and away the best. This is proven. This isn't even up for debate anymore. We've done a really good job with the Green Loop, and I want to continue to build out that vision over the long term. I forget the percentage of how far we are on the Green Loop, but it's actually farther than I thought we were. When I heard the last percentage, I was encouraged. But that is just one infrastructural project. All of the new developments that the city of Portland is engaged in, whether it's the Broadway corridor, whether we do something with the Zidels down in Zidel Yards, the work that will undoubtedly be taking place in the Lloyd District, and other opportunities have to encompass state-of-the-art cycling and walking infrastructure. So I hope we're in agreement on some of these points, but I just wanted to let you know I'm certainly not looking the other way. And I agree with you, this is a deep tragedy for our community every time somebody loses their life. And it's usually the pedestrian or the cyclist. And that is a shame. I don't know if Commissioner Ryan has, Commissioner Ryan, I'm sorry.
Sarah, thanks for being here, and I'm so sorry for the loss of your child. And thanks for having the courage to be an amazing advocate on this issue. I love Hoboken. I used to live in New York, and I just loved Hoboken. So is that where they eliminated parking at intersections? Is that what?
They did a lot of daylighting in Hoboken, yes. So they restricted parking so that they could increase visibility coming up to intersections.
'Cause that's where-
That was one of many things that
Yeah,
they
one of
did.
many. But I know that one in particular, and Commissioner Maps can speak more in detail to that, is something that I know I struggle with when I'm driving around town, like most Portlanders. So thank you for highlighting Hoboken. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. It's good to see you. Next individual, please, Keelan, item 837.
Request of Alicia Pentecost to address council regarding affordable housing and landlord accountability.
Is that in person or online?
Alicia was going to join in person. Alicia Pentecost.
Maybe they'll show up. We'll, in the meanwhile, move to the next individual, 838, please.
Request of Isham Harris to address council regarding Concordia Neighborhood Association Community Center at Fernhill Park.
Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to the Portland City Council. My name is Pastor Isham Harris, and I live in the Concordia neighborhood. I've been a resident there for the last 44 years. We, the Concordia neighborhood, would like to strongly advocate for a community center, Albina Sports Complex, to be built at the site of the old Whitaker School at Fernhill Park. I would like to begin my presentation by mentioning the name of 4 individuals: Matthew Prophet, Nelson Mandela, Dr. King, and Paul Allen. What do all of these men have in common? They left a legacy behind. Matthew Prophet, he left a stability with the PPS school system. Nelson Mandela brought down apartheid in South Africa. Dr. King, we are still, and the world is still experiencing and enjoying the legacy of the civil rights movement. Paul Allen, he left the Motor Center, which we go and see NBA basketball games. Question: why do we need a community center at Northeast 42nd Street? First of all, I would like to list 10 items, 10 blessings rather, of a community center. A community center would unite the community. It would provide volunteer opportunities, support for community projects, combat loneliness, positively impact the lives of young people, promote healthy living, encourage creativity and culture, a place to share valuable information, offer educational opportunities, provide unique and much-needed facilities. Why our community needs to be united. A community center could be a place to unite the community. It could be a place to unite families. It could be a place to it could be a place to prevent chaos in families, politics. We see that there's chaos today in the political world. We see there's chaos at the borders with immigrants, chaos with the homeless. So a community center, sport complex, could serve as a great tool to unite the community. A united community is a place to increase social connections, connect people from all walks of life, regardless of race. If a family rarely spend time together, they could take a class together at a community center. It would positively impact the lives of young people, give our young people a healthy outlet for their energy, talent, and prevent antisocial behavior that feeds the school to prison pipeline. A community center could combat loneliness. Loneliness is a subjective, unwelcome feeling of lack of companionship. It happens when there is a mismatch between the quality and quantity of the social relationship that we have and those that want it. Studies show that a fifth of the population feel lonely always or often. A sports complex community center could provide a routine and something to look forward to, and seniors need a routine. Studies show that in the next 12 years, there will be approximately 65 million seniors in America. D, it would provide a unique and much-needed facilities. People in the community need a space to hold and to organize social events. A quote from Dr. King lets us know that technology has made the world a neighborhood, but it has not made it a brotherhood. A community center could be a great force, an opportunity to make our community a brotherhood. A community center can provide an out-of-office workspace where one can sit and work quietly. A community center can tap into this kind of demographics. And then finally, a community center would offer educational opportunities, a safe place to take a dance class, learn a craft, a safe place to learn a new skill, and further one's education. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I let you go a little over because, number one, I found it interesting, and I was going to ask a follow-up question anyway, which you answered. And number two, a couple people didn't show up, so we had a little extra time on this schedule. Commissioner Gonzalez had a comment or a question, sir.
Mr. Harris, I just want to thank you for testifying. We are facing multitude of serious issues in our community right now, a multitude of crises, but creating space for children, creating space for community is something we have to do at the same time. And so I defer to my colleagues that are closer to parks right now as to, what the prospects are for building a community center at that specific location. I'm very familiar with that property. We long wanted to build soccer fields there, and my kids often practice down on the football field there.
Right,
so
right.
it's I know PPS has their eyes on it for potential development as well. So I just want to see it activated. I want to see it utilized by the community in some form, and hopefully it won't take another 14 years to figure out what it should be used for. But I do want to just thank you for your testimony.
Yes, yes, and I would like to, if I have another few moments, I would like to say it would be a great legacy for this Portland City Council. If I'm not mistaken, Vera Katz was responsible for the convention center. Is that correct?
To think about it.
Was she responsible
sure.
for the building? But anyway, this would be a great opportunity for this present Portland City Council to leave a strong legacy behind, which would be a community center at 42nd Street. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Ryan had a comment
Mr.
as
Harris,
well.
thank you for being here. Good to see you. Jill and my team is going to connect with you so we could go deeper on this as I oversee parks and neighborhood associations.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. Next individual, please, Keelan, number 839.
Request of Mitchell Bailey to address council regarding state legislation.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for being here.
My name is Mitchell Bailey. If any of you, before I begin, have any interaction as I'm speaking at this time, you may do it. This is all about the Hazelwood area there and the Gateway area at 102nd and 99th and Pacific and Irving, where the city was supposed to go on through and develop what they were supposed to develop, but there was mishandling of money. I blame two commissioners, Steve Novick and Amanda Fritz, for going on through and mishandling, either embezzling or committing fraud. When the Gateway Business Association went on through, said they already had the money for it, when it was the Gilbert brothers that actually started at this time. And now it's already gone too far. It's down to the legislature. So any of you living east of I-205 between Marine Drive to Flavel, we will have that divided between Gresham and Happy Valley. Because other than that, it's not so much the shelterless, it's the lack of mishandling money and not developing what they develop. Because right now it's down to the city that doesn't care instead of the city that works. So if you people don't want any jurisdiction east of I-205, you go ahead and speak up, because other than that, I just went on through. It's like I lived across from the Gateway Elks at that time, at the Gateway Terrace. And after that went up in flames, and I said, okay, that's it. It's up to Oregon legislation. Alyssa Goofer way before was the one, but it's like any of you living east of I-205, speak out to them, because other than that, it's like this is uncalled for. So it's like all that part between the areas of property owners and banks and realtors are to go on through and have to let people know their days are numbered or not. And I was in Carmen Rubio's office at one time, and then this other one ended up from her office, went on through, ended up having security go on through and escort me out because I was trying to prove a point. Because after I went on through and proved that point, that it's like, that he didn't seem to understand that it's like when it comes to even commercial land, that's gonna be hit the hardest. And residential a little bit. And now there's an evil voice saying it's like, don't invest east of I-205 property-wise. It's jinxed at those times. And now I've already went on through and have been going to my bank along with a whole bunch of other realtors to be informed that it's like they're going to be going on through and being let know that it's like, okay, the legislation is going to take place of properties to be tagged everywhere east of I-205 when it comes to a development part of 5 miles radius.
Great. Thank you, sir, for your testimony. And just for the record, if you have information on malfeasance or the misuse of taxpayer money, on the 3rd floor of this building is the city ombudsman. And that is an individual who you could file a report with. They are separate from the city council. They are separate from the city infrastructure and bureaus. They have the ability to conduct independent investigations. And so if you're aware of something, I would strongly encourage you to file with the ombudsman on the 3rd floor.
Okay.
They are
And
a
I'd
function
like
of an
to-
auditor team.
I'd like to go on through and at least to make an appointment with any of these, because I kept telling these other ones to go on through and start getting the ball rolling before the end of the year, because if it takes legislation next year, all these other properties, they're going to be tagged, and it's like they're going to be hurting and saying, why are we being tagged?
Yeah, makes
Because
sense.
of the lack of
Thank you.
development.
Appreciate it. Thank you for being here, sir. And next individual, 840, please.
Request of Dustin Hens to address council regarding Portland bridges. Dustin was going to join in person. Dustin Hens.
Okay, and then could we call the first person again, just to
Sure.
see if they showed up?
Alicia Pentecost.
All right, good. We'll move to the consent agenda. Have any items been pulled from the consent agenda? It's my understanding 845 and 846
That's
have been
correct.
pulled. Have any other items been pulled?
No.
Call the roll on the remainder of the consent agenda, please.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Consent agenda is adopted. We'll move to the first time certain item, please. Item number 841.
Amend Title 33, Planning and Zoning, and the zoning map to reduce the impacts of future flooding on the city and prevent the degradation of floodplain habitat for endangered and threatened fish species.
Could you please read 842 as well, please?
Amend flood hazard areas code to comply with Federal Emergency Management Agency National Flood Insurance Program requirements and modify compensatory excavation and removal requirements.
Colleagues, these are both second readings of non-emergency ordinances. We've already heard presentations and had opportunity for public testimony. We have read these together. We'll vote on them separately. Commissioner Rubio, I understand you have some more comments you'd like to make?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. As a reminder, we had a briefing and public hearing on these items on August 30th and then closed the record. And then on September 13th, we voted on a handful of amendments brought forward by myself and Commissioner Mapps. One of those amendments changed the effective date of key components of the proposals, reducing it from 2-year delay to a 1-year delay. And I brought forward this in response to the concerns we heard in testimony on August 30th. And I appreciate my colleagues for their support of that change. And I want to again thank Commissioner Mapps for his leadership and partnership on his amendment related to additional mitigation strategies. The package in front of us for a final vote today has been several years in the making, and it significantly increases the amount of mitigation required for new development along the river in our central city and positions Portland as a leader in the state in advancing stronger protections for both fish habitat and flood risk in our floodplains. It also balances those protections with the need for new housing and economic development in existing areas in our central city, including certain areas with decades of invested planning. I am glad that we're here today for a final vote so staff can begin their focus and capacity towards addressing the floodplains in other areas of the city, including our industrial areas. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any further comments or business on either of these items? 841, a non-emergency ordinance. Second reading, please call the roll.
Mapps.
I want to thank Commissioner Rubio for her leadership on the items that we're about to vote on today. I also really appreciated the collaboration on trying to address some lingering concerns in this space. I believe we've made this ordinance better, and by doing so, we will be able to both protect the environment while also allowing the city to grow and evolve. For these reasons and more, I vote aye.
Rubio.
I've already shared a lot about the purpose of the regulation, so I just really want to thank everyone who provided input over the last few years, and especially the many stakeholders, concerned advocates, and Portlanders who have lent their voices in support of the environment and also for affordable housing. Even though this balanced approach may not be the ideal one for everyone on all sides of the issue, your voices and information truly have shaped this work into the balanced proposal that we see today. In particular, I want to thank all the bureaus and the bureau staff from BPS, BDS, BES, and the City Attorney's Office, including Patricia Diefendorfer, Jason Butler-Brown, Doug Morgan, Jeff Caudill, Jessica Mooring, and Caitlin Lovell, who dove into this topic and brought this proposal forward. This was highly technical and very complex of a package, and one where there's a significant community and stakeholder interest. And you all stepped up to the plate, so it's a job exceptionally well done. So happy to vote aye.
Ryan.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Rubio, for this process that I've been observing as someone on the council. It's always takes a while for us to get to this final vote, and so we have a chance to do amendments. Also, thank you, BPS Director Donnie Olivero. I see a few of the members of BPS out there. Hello, Patricia, and the good people at BES and BDS. This is one of those situations where not every person is going to be pleased, and yet their passionate voices do influence the final policy, hence the amendments that we voted on recently. I do know that they've also been working diligently and in good faith to find that right balance, and I appreciate that. Their time and effort that have led to an outcome that will allow us to move forward. I vote aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
One of the unique things about local government is that with every vote you take, you lose friends. This will be no exception. But I want to thank Commissioner Rubio for what I think was an absolutely outstanding process to navigate an issue that on its face is extremely technical. It crosses multiple bureaus, engaged many different groups and organizations and individuals in the public, and ultimately reached what I think is a very workable compromise. And I appreciate that the commissioner even indicated that it's a compromise. Not everybody got everything they wanted. Not everybody's going to be pleased. Maybe nobody's going to be completely pleased. And that is the burden of local government. But I just want to say, Commissioner, I think you did an outstanding job here. Really, it's something you, your team, the Bureau directors should be very proud of. I want to thank everybody who testified. The testimony was really outstanding on this subject. People dug in deep. They understood the subject matter. They informed us as a council. And while we did not do everything that everybody had asked, I hope you understand that we heard you and we appreciated the input and the advice and the counsel that you provided us. I vote aye. 841 is passed as amended. To 842, please.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted as amended. 843, please.
Appoint members to the Cully Tax Increment Finance District Community Leadership Committee.
Colleagues, this is a report. This item is to review the appointment of 13 community members to the inaugural Cully Tax Increment Finance District Community Leadership Committee, a body supported by Prosper Portland, the Portland Housing Bureau, and of course our community partners at Living Cully. In November of 2022, City Council unanimously adopted the Cully TIF District Plan, a plan which launched a new community-centered model of TIF focused on stabilization, anti-displacement, and equitable growth. A community governance charter was part of that package, and it called for the creation of a new Cully Community Leadership Committee. This committee will advise decision makers, providing essential guidance, recommendations, and oversight regarding the City of Portland and Prosper Portland's implementation of the tax increment financing plan. Appointment of this body is an important next step for continuing our partnership in Cully. I'll now pass this over to Commissioner Rubio, the commissioner in charge of Prosper Portland, to walk us through this report. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. The Cully TIF District represents the next evolution of TIF, one where we co-create with community and are responsive to those who have lived and continue to live at the margins. The goal of the district is clear, to prevent displacement, preserve existing opportunities for affordable housing and economic prosperity, while also creating new opportunities, spurring innovation of environment and climate change, and also ensuring that current residents benefit from investments. And over the next several decades, this TIF district will generate more than $300 million for affordable housing, home ownership, and home repairs, business support, job creation, property acquisition, development and renovation, arts and culture, as well as recreational and infrastructure improvements. In order to ensure investments reach and benefit those who need them most, we need to lean into our community partnerships and proactively work to engage community members by removing traditional barriers to access. Together, through authentic partnerships and collaboration, we can deliver on equitable economic and housing opportunities for our communities, especially those who are most vulnerable to displacement. The individuals nominated for appointment today bring a wide variety of knowledge and expertise, including experience in affordable housing, economic development, real estate development, financial analysis, community organizing, social work, and small business ownership. I look forward to hearing the presentation and joining my colleagues to appoint this inaugural committee. And now we'll turn it over to Lisa Abwaf, Prosper Portland from Prosper Portland, and also the Director of your title, correct? Your title, Prosper Portland Development and Investment Director, and Antoinette Pietka, who is also here, and PHB Data and Analytics Manager. And I'm sorry, I didn't have your name to announce. Could you please state your name?
No problem. Thank you, Commissioner. We had a little change in the cast of characters. Jessica Connery is she, her pronouns. I'm the Senior Policy and Planning Coordinator at the Housing Bureau.
Wonderful. Welcome, Jessica. So I'll turn it over to Jessica and Lisa.
Thank you, Commissioner. And hopefully, Catherine has had a chance to get the deck up We'll be finding out shortly. So I am Lisa Abwaf. I'm the Director of Development Investment, use she, her pronouns. Thankful to have Jesse by my side as we present to you an action nominating and accepting kind of the remaining members of the Cully TIF District Community Leadership Committee. Just as a reminder, we're before you today as follow-on to Council's approval of the new Cully TIF District just about a year ago, and as part of that approval, you approved a governance charter, and this committee kind of forms the foundation for that governance charter. With the launch of the new Cully TIF District this past summer, we've been working closely with community partners and with Commissioner Rubio's leadership to identify members of the Community Leadership Committee anticipated in that charter. And today, we're seeking your approval of a roster of appointments to that committee.
The clerk's working to get the deck.
Excellent. So I'm just going to go through the first couple of slides because I think we can cover it just with me speaking. So in our presentation, what we thought we would do is just knowing that a year is a long time for you to hearken back and kind of remember what we shared back in November of last year. In our presentation, we'll briefly recap the process and the plan that Council approved, and we'll talk a little bit about the role of the Community Leadership Committee. We'll share a little bit more about the selection and nominations process, but really spend time talking through the individuals who were brave and kind of trusting enough to nominate themselves or be nominated by friends and members of the community to serve on the committee, because we thought it's important for you to understand the membership. Okay, just keep going. So acknowledging kind of a lot has happened, kind of the first thing we wanted to do is just remind Council that it was a community-led process, so that this was not something that was started by the Housing Bureau or Prosper Portland just about 5 years ago. We were approached actually by a coalition of community partners who were interested in exploring potential TIF area in and around Cully. Cully has a strong history of community development and relationships within the district. This became really formative to how the TIF exploration process came together. From relationships between CBOs to capacity within different community development corporations and the Neighborhood Prosperity Initiative partners that are in the newly formed TIF district. The strength of that coalition of partners is reflected in the robust and deep community and equity-focused engagement work that, in fact, an Exploration Leadership Committee led, and that resulted in what they called a preliminary report that really informed the project priorities of the TIF district. That preliminary report also identified some challenges in community, from sparse commercial development to poor, unsafe walkability to potentially redevelopable brownfields, so really kind of set the foundation for what we thought about in terms of the plan. The Cully partners, just as a reminder, there was a set of Community Development Corporation partners together with the Neighborhood Prosperity Network partners who formed a coalition and really led the engagement process. And we're building on that approach and community leadership, in fact, as we explore TIF districts in East Portland as well. There was a lot learned from that coalition that we are building on today. And before kind of moving from that to kind of what we're thinking about in terms of the governance charter, the TIF exploration work also built on a strong foundation of capacity within the Neighborhood Prosperity Network partners. This is kind of 10 years of them in the making of community capacity building in partnership with community between the public sector and community-based organizations.
Lisa, could I interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
Which slide are you on now?
Yep. Slide 6, there we go.
Thank you.
So this is a reflection of the community partners, and you see here, just for folks who are viewing from home, you see here, these are the logos of all of the partners who really convened the conversation with the city and then led all of the engagement process. Next slide. So this slide actually highlights the 2 Neighborhood Prosperity Network areas that are in the Cully TIF district. They continue to serve a really important anchor to community voices, so you will see that they may not be part of the Community Leadership Committee, but we do anticipate that they will continue to be key partners as we continue to engage with community around action planning and implementation of the long-term TIF plan. Next slide, please. So just as a reminder of what did that 4-year process look like, what you see here is on the left-hand side is the engagement that the city led largely with place-based engagement with larger institutional organizations like our neighborhood associations or business districts or large employers. And what you see on the right in purple is where the community-led Exploration Leadership Committee hosted community-specific focus groups and other types of engagement that really had deep community-based voices and a very strong equity lens, which you see reflected from the Latinx community through to low-income homeowners. And the governance charter and the leadership committee approach that we are before you today for an action really builds on this history. It is the idea of co-creation. It is the idea of partnership, that there are kind of our roles and trust between institutional partners at the city together with community. Next slide, please. And just building on that theme a little bit further, kind of wanted to harken back that this really is a different approach to TIF district formation compared to what we've done in the past, where the leadership committee will help implement and monitor kind of our work, but also while some aspects of the district will be similar, i.e. we will publicly procure all opportunities to avoid things like conflicts of interest, through to decision-making processes will still reside with council or with our Prosper Portland board. There will be some aspects that are distinct, i.e. we will continue to build trusting relationships and partnerships. We are continuing to be committed to a co-creation model via a better defined and better capacitated community leadership, so there will be on-the-ground staffing support for community as well as the Community Leadership Committee as outlined in the governance charter. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Jesse. We're going to run briefly through what was in the TIF plan and what led to the governance charter.
Great, we can go to the next slide. So like Lisa said, I'm just going to hit some of the highlights of the TIF plan. So the slide before you shows you the adopted boundary for the Cully TIF district, which sits at a little bit over 1,600 acres. And as a reminder, the TIF district boundaries really sets where the resources can be legally invested. The majority of the land is zoned for residential, but to Lisa's point, it does capture the two NPN districts, our 42nd Avenue and the Cully Boulevard Alliance, capture some of those key commercial areas. The northern boundary captures much of the industrial lands along Columbia Boulevard to ensure resources are available to support employment lands and job expansion opportunities to serve the community. We can go to the next slide, please. So the plan also outlines the district goals, really the guideposts, our guiding principles here. And you can really see that they're very people-focused. We're looking to prevent displacement of vulnerable people, communities, businesses, and community-based institutions in Cully, preserving existing opportunities for affordable housing and economic development, while at the same time, creating new opportunities and also ensuring that current residents and businesses are going to benefit from future investments. We want to ensure that those that are most affected and impacted by market and displacement pressures really have a lead role and voice in those decisions and policies for their communities. I'm excited to say that we are making progress on developing and inspiring a new model for TIF, which we are putting some of those practices into place for the TIF exploration around 82nd Avenue and the East districts. While of course, consistently working to remove barriers and then spurring innovation to be a part of climate change initiatives in our TIF projects. Go to the next slide, please. The plan also outlines really like 6 buckets of the eligible projects, right? This is sort of the menu that we get to pick from in our 5-year action plans going forward. So they help inform the eligible projects. It's important to highlight that the use of TIF is still bound by the sort of physical permanent improvements, right? The sticks and bricks that develop and renovate property within the boundary. The project list is identifies the what, and it's important that the who, our priority communities, those most vulnerable, is closely connected to the what of the district. So this list is the what, including affordable housing, home ownership, home repairs, business supports, land acquisition, land banking for future, developments is going to be really critical. Arts, culture, and signage, so examples of that would be to, seek opportunities to include historical and cultural public art and signage. I mentioned land acquisition and land banking already, and to some community members' points we heard earlier, recreational improvements, which could include community centers, community gardens, natural areas, athletic facilities, and safe spaces for communities to gather and come together, as well as infrastructure improvements. There is one point here, though, that it was very critical to some of our conversations with community, that although infrastructure improvements are eligible, they're on the plan, they're on the menu, rather, it's important to the community that these improvements are linked to projects that stabilize the community. Next slide, please. So we estimate that Cully will generate a maximum indebtedness of about $350 million. Just about 320 of that is for projects, the remaining going for administration. About $144 million will go to the Housing Bureau for the affordable home ownership, home repair, housing stabilization initiatives that are in our portfolio, and the remaining 55% will go to Prosper Portland's portfolio for small businesses, access to quality jobs, economic development, et cetera. Next slide, please. The other consideration that we want to remind council is the estimated cash flow over the life of the district. So similar to other TIF districts, revenues build up over time, and you can see that as those bars sort of increase from years 1 through 5 to the end of the district around year 30. To support some level of funding in the first 5 years, again, to get at that stabilization piece that we are really working towards, we model access to lines of credit or bonding sale in year 5, about $17 million in bonding. This means that the majority of the resources that you see in that years 1 to 5 are really coming in year 5. This is going to be a really important consideration as we start to consider projects and investments in the action planning process with our Community Leadership Committee. And I will hand it back to Lisa.
Sounds good. So there are really 3 key elements to how we're thinking about implementation of the Tax Increment Finance District, the Cully Tax Increment Finance District. So clearly there's a TIF plan, that is the 30-year vision you approved, that really provides a menu of legally eligible projects. There are 5-year action plans. These are more of a recent kind of thought and effort that Prosper has done with various communities, Gateway, Lents, Old Town, et cetera. And so there is a commitment to ongoing and kind of regular action planning together with the Community Leadership Committee that would really identify priority projects and budget allocation over a 5-year period. And then kind of at the foundation of this is the idea of a governance charter that does call for the creation of the Cully TIF District Community Leadership Committee. And it also describes the processes and the roles to develop kind of recommendations if escalation needs to happen up to council or to our board for resolution. It speaks to that, and it really, and it also speaks to the fact that the Community Leadership Committee will give an annual report to you, council, in terms of their work, but also the outcomes of the action plan. And we really see the governance charter as the piece that ties kind of the long-term 30-year vision to the near-term 5-year TIF action plans. It's also a living document that can be amended over time, so clearly over a 30-year period, things can change kind of, and community membership will change over time as well. Next slide. So now we're going to kind of dive into what was the selection and nomination process that brings this list to you today. So the committee will help to ensure that community voices are centered in guiding the implementation of the plan and holding the city accountable to goals of the plan. This is actually all spoken to in the governance charter. And this is pretty new, actually. I think this is the first committee that is jointly nominated between the Prosper Portland Board as well as City Council, given that they are a group that will be making recommendations to you, City Council, as well as recommendations to our board. And there are 7 appointees by the Prosper Portland Board, 6 appointees by City Council, and that was actually all spoken to in the charter. So this slide shows the appointment process that brings us here today. So what you see is over the past 6 months, we actually advertised the opportunity for community members to engage, to come forward, and we provided materials both in English and Spanish to support accessibility into the process. Then a joint city and community group convened and recommended a panel of folks coming from the applications that we received. And so those are the nominees that you see before you today. And then the Prosper Portland Board nominees that you see in the upper green box were actually approved by our board in late September, and we'll share those nominations here today as well. And we are with you, council, and then we would move into convening of the committee and getting started on the work, particularly thinking about action plan, kind of the action planning process, engagement with community to make sure that we're getting the priorities right for the first 5 years of resources that Jesse mentioned. So next slide, please. The commissioners spoke to this a little bit. What you see on the left-hand side of this slide is who made up the selection committee. What you see on the right-hand side is really when we went out looking for kind of community members to volunteer and express interest. We were looking for expertise that is both technical expertise and lived experience, and looking for folks who can be implementation partners, but also can kind of speak to the heart and soul and the needs of the community. Next slide, please. So now we jump into kind of the meat. So the nominees that are before you today is this list here. You'll see that they are 2-year term nominees, and I'll just go through a little bit. You have kind of the abbreviated version of their background so that we could fit it onto a slide. We have Elizabeth de Jesus Lopez was involved with the exploration process. She was really deeply involved. She actually led some Spanish focus groups and continued to ensure accessibility in terms of multilingual access. Bella Mata actually has a social work background, volunteered with Fabian, and she actually worked on a community cycling program within the Latinx community. Sharon Maxwell is the owner of a general contractor firm, as well as involved with community advocacy. Jorge Landre Sanchez Batista is a high school student at McDaniel and is also a member of the Cully Association of Neighbors. Julia Tiensen is part of the Cully Housing Action Team, so part of the community advocacy, but also brings a housing perspective, and also has a social work background working with Sacagawea Head Start. And Nico Vergara is an entrepreneur, actually started a food cart, now owns multiple bricks and mortar locations in and around Cully with product that's sold in 60 area grocery stores, so brings the small business perspective to bear. Next slide. And just kind of as background, these are the members that the Prosper Portland Board took action on. We have Andre Broados, who is the owner of Infinity Lounge, a small business in Cully, as well as a realtor. Gary Hollins, who's a lifelong Cully resident, owner of Trucking and School and Apprenticeship Program, as well as a member of the Exploration Leadership Committee. Cecilia Lente, who is a NEA affiliate, actually the program coordinator for individual development account, helping members of the community to start individual development accounts that really help them with individual to help individuals to build wealth as well as financial security. Tawanda Perry, who's a small business owner and also volunteers with incarcerated youth. Ginger Rogers, who's an organizer but also involved in Cully engagement. Karen Torres Olguin, who is involved with green spaces, so also getting kind of the perspective of some livability aspects and making sure that there's health aspects as part of our engagement process in our committee, as well as working with houselessness services. And then Sky Waters, who was also a member of the Exploration Leadership Committee and is also affiliated with NEA. We're really trying to keep continuity between the Exploration Leadership Committee, kind of the partnership that started there, while also certainly kind of opening up opportunities for new voices. So that gives you a sense of who the 13-member committee would be in total. And maybe we can go back to the last slide, since that is the slide that council would be taking actions on in case you have any questions.
Very good, colleagues. Commissioner Mapps.
Yes, all the volunteers for this committee look fine. I actually have a program question around the TIF. And I recognize we probably don't have all the details worked out, but do we have a sense of what we expect the baseline year for the TIF district to be, if you understand that? So for example, my understanding with TIFs is that we kind of pick a baseline year, and then property taxes increases in property values / property taxes over time moving forward help fund the TIF. So what would do we have a sense of what the baseline year that if we were to move forward with this would be?
What the baseline amount or the year would be?
Year.
Yeah, it started this past fiscal year. So this is the
Oh.
first fiscal year where we have a Cully TIF budget
Okay.
that's available. As Jesse showed, it's pretty slow in the beginning, and so what we talked about with community is really focusing on stabilization investments. So think our small business grant program or some of kind of the home ownership kind of programs that the Housing Bureau provides. Just acknowledging that you really don't kind of build up to resources for larger investments until year 5 into year 10.
Have we updated that modeling and those projections? Here's what I've been thinking about, frankly, in context of some of the other TIFs that we're pondering setting up. We're at a time when it's possible that property values may be going down. So if I were to establish a new TIF today, I might actually want to wait till the real estate market kind of settles out a little bit. Otherwise, we're digging out of a hole over a couple of years, or at least that's my fear, and that seems like a plausible theory. Do you know how that dynamic is playing out in the context of this TIF?
Yeah, it's a good question. We tend to be pretty conservative
Okay.
together with the Office of Management and Finance in how we model. So we model on a 3% increase based on what's kind of in the community today. That's the maximum that we'll model against. So unless, it's just as a reminder for everybody, taxes are against assessed value,
Right.
not real market value.
Right.
And there is kind of a space, a pretty sizable space between real
Right.
market value and assessed value. And so that allows for kind of a certain amount of cushion, let's
Okay.
call it, for our modeling.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
Commissioner Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And thank you, Lisa and Jessica. Good to see you. You mentioned the Neighborhood Prosperity Network. You had a slide up revealing that, and then you said none of them were on the committee. Can you tell me why?
Yeah, I think we really wanted to, we'll continue to work with them as part of the Neighborhood Prosperity Network area. That really will be kind of on-the-ground support to the committee as well as to Prosper on an ongoing basis. So they will have an ongoing role. It just won't necessarily be as part of the committee. And I think it was intentionally to kind of broaden the base of community engagement. So they will continue to have a function. They'll continue to operate as Neighborhood Prosperity Network areas within the Cully TIF district. Certainly, they provide really important support around workforce, access to workforce training opportunities or small business technical assistance that they'll continue to provide.
All right, so there's nothing about a conflict of interest. It was intentional, though.
Yeah, it was additive a little bit, which was bringing more community voices in while also keeping kind of the support of the Neighborhood Prosperity Network areas within the district.
I would think that one of the best metrics to see success of this TIF district would be that residents of Coley would be able to leverage family wage jobs in the Coley district. That's obviously good for the climate as well, because there's less commuting. So I actually think it's a missed opportunity by having them deeply engaged. And so I hope in the future you'll consider them as part of the committee.
Well, and I think that's helpful as we think about how we're staffing and kind of how we resource the NPNs to be part of our conversations with the leadership committee. I think that's helpful. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you for your presentation. Do we have public testimony on this report?
No one signed up.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Commissioner Mapps moves. Can I get a second?
Second.
Commissioner Rubio seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Maps.
I want to thank Commissioner Rubio and the mayor for bringing this item forward, and I want to thank these volunteers for serving on this important committee. I vote aye.
Rubio.
I'd like to thank Lisa and Jesse and the teams at Prosper Portland and PHB for their work on this. I'm excited to hear that staff and committee members are eager to dig into the action planning that's next. I'd also like to acknowledge the many years of hard work that got us to this point and have provided critical lessons for the TIF exploration work that staff are now doing in East Portland. And finally, thanks to each of our appointees for their commitment to this work and their service to the city. I'm pleased to vote aye.
Ryan.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa and Jessica, again, for that thorough presentation. And I did recall the evolution of this. and how it was very driven by the community. It's a good story, and I'm glad we're staying with it. I'm also pleased to see there are 5 small business owners on this committee. I wish the committee had more businesses, including larger organizations that are north of Lombard that do provide some family wage jobs. It seems to me that, again, the success metric here would be increasing the number of Coley residents who work in the neighborhood at a family wage job. And I hope that, please keep track of that. I vote aye. I accept the report.
Gonzalez.
I just want to echo one part of Commissioner Ryan's observations there. I hope that we're looking at employers of all sizes as we staff these going forward, but appreciate the good work here. I vote aye.
Wheeler.
I vote aye. The report's accepted. The appointments are approved. Thanks for your great work. Appreciate it. Next item, please, 844, which is a proclamation.
Proclaim October 15th, 2023 to be White Cane Awareness Day.
Colleagues, our next item is a proclamation honoring White Cane Awareness Day on October 15th, 2023. I'll pass this to Commissioner Mapps to open and introduce our presenters. Commissioner Mapps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Colleagues, we have 3 guests today who will help introduce today's proclamation. We are joined by Lisa Strader, who is PBOT's ADA coordinator. We also have Mary Lee Turner, who is the Pedestrian Safety Action Coalition co-chair. And finally, joining us today, we have Darian Slayton Fleming, who is also a Pedestrian Safety Action Coalition co-chair. After our guest comments, commissioners will have an opportunity to share their thoughts. And finally, the mayor will read the proclamation. And now I will turn the floor over to our guest, Mary Lee, Lisa, and Darian. Welcome.
Good morning. This is Lisa Strader. I am, as the commissioner mentioned, the Portland Bureau of Transportation's ADA coordinator. I'm going to manage our presentation, our slides, and kick us off. And then Mary Lee and Darian will speak here in just a minute. So hopefully you have my presentation on your screen now. I will also be describing our slides. So I want to acknowledge that we have a theme to our presentation, a color theme of sort of a squash yellow and a light gray. Those are the theme colors for the presentation. On our first slide, we have an image that ODOT created and is allowing us to use of a black man using a white cane, and he's mentioning to vehicles, look for me like you look for other cars. Second slide has an outline of the state of Oregon with 4 silhouettes in it. 3 are gray, 1 is orange. The communication here is that it identifies that 1 in 4 adults in Oregon identifies having some kind of a disability. This data is from the CDC as of May of 2023, so very recent. Our next slide is more relevant to the city of Portland. The Office of Equity and Human Rights, for the second time recently, has done a survey of people with disabilities in Portland. The image is of the report from 2021. The report for 2023 isn't available yet, but they were able to get me the information related to people with disabilities that identify as experiencing a vision disability. And it's about almost 20% of the 3,800 individuals that took time to respond to that survey identified having a vision disability. The proclamation is entitled White Cane Safety, but the Pedestrian Safety Action Coalition that Mary Lee and Darian chair, who made the proclamation request, recognizes that many blind and low vision community members also use guide dogs. This image is of community member Tyann and her guide dog Ian meeting Commissioner Mapps at the September Sunday Parkways, where Tyann and several other community members who use white canes or guide dogs staffed a white cane awareness booth. It was a great afternoon. I have the privilege of facilitating the Pedestrian Safety Action Coalition. The organization promotes transportation safety of white cane and guide dog users. Most PSAC members are in the Portland metropolitan area, but we also have members from other cities in Oregon like Bend and Coos Bay and Eugene. So at this time, I want to introduce Mary Lee and Darian. As the commissioner mentioned, they are co-chairs of the Pedestrian Safety Action Coalition. And Mary Lee, I think you're going to start. Your slide has a beautiful picture of you on our public right-of-way. I want to point out that it's like 7 o'clock on a gray morning. So yes, Mary Lee is stopped, standing in a crosswalk, but we were very careful that there was no traffic coming. Mary Lee is using her white cane and holding up the state sign, state law, stop for the blind. Mary Lee, over to you.
Thank you very much. It is an absolute pleasure and honor to be here today. I would love it that I wouldn't have to be here, but I am. And I'm wearing a shirt that you're going to see me in if you haven't already. It says, "Stop, it's the law." And it has a person walking with a cane and a guide dog. So I do have other clothes, but I always pull this one out as an opportunity to share with people that folks who are blind or have some significant sight loss are out in, if they aren't in the community, it's because they're scared to come out, because believe me, we are everywhere. And so we have been working diligently, thanks to Lisa, who's been a tremendous staff person for this commission, or I mean, for our coalition. We are absolutely committed that White Cane Safety Day gets introduced as an opportunity to remind people who are operating any kind of motorized or even pedal operated vehicles that they can always move faster than we can. And they're usually bigger and often weigh a whole lot more than we do. We get the training that we need so that we can use the skills that we do have so that we can be out in public doing our thing. But that's not enough. I learned that one day when I was struck by a car, woke up after being thrown into the street thinking, oh my God, it really happened. And though my body has healed for the most part after this event in 2011, I am still dealing with the after effects of being hit. It is critical that we work together today, this evening, tonight, and 24/7 to absolutely to know what the law is and to pay attention to it. We do have, I'm going to hold up, I hope this is the right way. Can you see that? It's a postcard.
We can, Mary Lee.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so thanks to the Oregon, the American Council of the Blind of Oregon and PBOT, we've given away hundreds of these little postcards, and we'd be happy to give some to each of you. And so please keep us in mind. It's not just, we aren't out to protect just folks who are blind or sight impaired, but everybody. Kids children going to school that are shorter than the backs of your cars, people using wheelchairs, people who are doing their best to pay attention. But again, we need your help. We need your respect, and we will do our best to respect, the laws that pertain to pedestrians. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here. And I will turn this back to Lisa Strader. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Mary Lee. Darian, we are on to you. And just before you start speaking, I will identify the photo that we've used here. This is actually last year's White Cane Safety booth at one of the Portland Sunday Parkways. Darian is seated at the table on the left, Mary Lee's on the right. and they are talking to community members. It was a great day. There are some visuals of the White Cane law and some of the other ODOT images and some white canes that people can see and test. And with that, Darian, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. Am I off mute?
You are.
Okay. Good morning, city commissioners and staff and guests. Thank you for having us today. I want to first say that it is still very surprising to me how many people don't know what they're seeing, drivers and bicyclists and people with wheels, when they see a person holding a white cane or the harness of a guide dog. My late husband was at the gym one day with his guide dog, and somebody asked him, where did you get that cool harness? I want one for my dog. Or they will say, oh, what's that, when they see our cane? Is it a tent pole? Is it an umbrella? So it's very important that people understand what they're seeing. That's the first step to keeping us safe. And then to stop and remain stopped from the time they see a person step off the curb until they cross the entire roadway. This issue, I've worked on planning White Cane Safety Days for probably over 20 years. But this issue became especially important to me in 2005 when I was struck by an SUV. And I was halfway across the street and I could hear him coming and he never slowed down. And I found myself in the street. And it was the middle of 102nd near Pacific in the Gateway area. That's a really scary place to find yourself laying in the street. This issue is important to all of us, as Mary Lee said, because little children get hit, elderly people get hit. This could happen to your grandma or your aunt. It could happen to anyone, as we're finding out. I've been part of the Pedestrian Safety Action Coalition with Mary Lee for, at least 8 years now, maybe. We have been growing our coalition to become part of everybody's community, to get people involved and helping with the education and advocacy events. And we meet on the third Thursday of every month at 2:30 p.m. So we are always looking for people to join in our efforts. And as Mary Lee said, we see pedestrian safety as an everyday, a year-round event. White Cane Safety Day is celebrated every year on October 15th. It was signed into law, I believe, in 1964 by Lyndon B. Johnson. And so every year we plan events to recognize and hopefully educate a few more people the importance of the White Cane Safety Law. This year, there will be an event in Coos Bay at the end of October for many of us who are going to be there for an American Council of the Blind of Oregon conference. But in Portland, actually in Beaverton, this year, the Portland State University Orientation and Mobility instructors, students have planned an event for Sunday, October 15th at 11. It begins at 11 a.m. at Karina's Bakery, if you would like to attend. Karina is a blind woman who owns her own bakery business. We will start there, and that address is 4725 Northwest Lombard. And so I will be speaking there. And from there, people will walk to the Beaverton City Library, which is at 1008. I think it's 107.
Yes.
If I may, I think it might be 12375. Is that right, Lisa?
It is, yeah, Darian, it's
Okay.
12375 Southwest 5th.
In Beaverton.
Yes.
So we would love to see you there. I see I just wasn't far enough down on my notes. We will see, we hope to see some of you there to celebrate with us and help us acknowledge this very important day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darian and Mary Lee. And thank you, Council, for hearing us today. Last year, we had the opportunity to have some photos on the public right-of-way of some of our community members who use white canes. This is Mary Lee and 2 other community members who are white cane users that participated in that photo op. So we're sharing one of those pictures today. They're on Burnside at this point. And with that, I'm happy to turn it back over to Council. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you all. Commissioner Maps.
Yeah, colleagues, before the mayor reads today's proclamation, I'd like to thank Mary Lee, Darian, and Lisa for joining us today. And I also want to say this. Colleagues, I am delighted to join you in proclaiming October 15th, 2023 to be White Cane Awareness Day. On that day, we celebrate the achievements of people who are blind or visually impaired. On that day, we recommit ourselves to full integration, equality, education, and economic opportunities for Americans with visual impairments. Now, as we heard in today's presentation, White Cane Day has been celebrated in these United States since 1964, when President Lyndon Baines Johnson proclaimed October 15th of each year to be White Cane Safety Day. Now, it is no coincidence that White Cane Safety Day was created by LBJ in 1964, the same era when we saw legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 signed into law. White Cane Safety Day is part of the Civil Rights Revolution, which started 60 years ago and continues to this day. In the nearly 60 years since this nation celebrated our first White Cane Safety Day, Americans who are blind or have low vision have become leaders in government, business, academics, and the arts, and they have made remarkable contributions here in Portland, too. At the same time, much work remains to be done, and that is true here in Portland, too. For example, this year, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention ranks Portland 52nd on their list of best and worst places for people with disabilities. Now, colleagues, that is not a good score. We must do better, and that's why the City of Portland and the citizens of Portland must recommit ourselves to securing full and equal access to education and employment for blind Americans and all of those with disabilities. And that's why this weekend, PBOT will be sharing white cane safety messages on our fixed variable message sign at Southwest 6th and Caruthers. And that's why this council urges all Portlanders to recognize October 15th, 2023 to be White Cane Awareness Day here in Portland, Oregon. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Maps. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Just want to thank so much the speakers for testifying today, bringing awareness to white cane, and also want to call out guide dogs in this conversation. White canes and guide dogs serve as vital mobility aids for those experiencing blindness and low vision. The white cane is a symbol of independence and inclusion. Today we raise awareness about the challenges faced by the visually diverse community and promise to create an environment where these individuals participate fully in daily life. Our responsibility as Portlanders, we need to be a city that is welcoming and accommodating to those visually diverse communities. that we ensure clean, safe, and unobstructed pathways for white cane and guide dog users, that guide dogs rely on safe, obstacle-free paths for their well-being, that we encourage education about white cane usage and guide dog etiquette. Call to action today, we emphasize the city's commitment to supporting those experiencing blindness or low vision. I encourage all Portlanders to actively contribute to a more accessible and empathetic city by embracing these principles. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez. Commissioner Ryan.
Yes. Thank you, Mary Lee, Darian, and Lisa for being here today to highlight our blind and visually diverse sisters and brothers, friends and family. And whether someone uses a white cane, a guide dog, or both, we all share the responsibility to make Portland accessible and welcoming. As we've all heard, the white cane is more than just a tool. It's a symbol of freedom, independence, and confidence for blind and visually diverse people. Together, we have a duty to amplify that awareness and underscore the importance of understanding empathy and accessibility in our city. Our role is not to end with awareness and acknowledgement, and I look forward to working with my colleagues towards a safer and more accessible city for all. On a personal note, I always think of my cousin Dawn. I grew up with her, and I was always in awe of her ability to navigate life. She died too soon, and actually being blind was definitely a factor. And I just miss her every day. And also, when I moved to Portland back in 1995, I was supposed to be on long-term disability, but it ended up being short-term, thank goodness, for a year. But I just remember understanding what it's like because we're all only temporarily abled. So I was able to experience something that many of you know, and that is when a don't walk flashing sign would appear. It just gave me so much anxiety because I couldn't move very fast. And so I just never forget that moment. I appreciate it when you see cities that have the timer, that once it says walk, it starts to tick from 30 seconds. So you at least have an idea. Because what I would experience in Portland is it would turn don't walk, and you better hope that you're on the other side of the street safely. Anyway, it's great that you have that event coming up on Sunday. I'll see what I can do to try to change things. It sounds like a great event, and I'll continue to advocate for those who are blind and visually diverse to safely navigate our sidewalks, streets, and our parks.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Commissioner Rubio.
Thank you. And I want to thank the mayor and Commissioner Mapps for bringing this proclamation forward about White Cane Day and all that it symbolizes about the experiences and needs of community members experiencing blindness and low vision. It really is incumbent upon all of us in our roles to do what we can to ensure accessibility and accommodations for residents of all abilities in our city. And this should be top of mind in our decisions every day, not just one day a year. So I want to thank, again, Mary Lee, Darian, and Lisa, and all the advocates for all the work that you do to educate our broader community, for your advocacy, and for holding us accountable to our responsibilities.
Thank you, Commissioner Rubio. I'm pleased to join my colleagues in taking a moment today to reflect on the resilience, the independence, and the determination of those in our community who are visually impaired or blind. The white cane is used not only as a tool, but as a symbol of freedom and as a symbol of movement, confidence, and the ability to navigate the world with autonomy. Portland has long recognized inclusivity and diversity as core values of our city. Today, I hope we appreciate the strength and the perseverance of the Portlanders who traverse our city with a white cane in hand each and every day. In that spirit, let us continue working together to make Portland a city where everyone, regardless of ability, feels valued, heard, and empowered. I also want to thank our interpreter today. I know how much work that is, so thank you for being present today. Now I'll read the proclamation on behalf of the Portland City Council. Whereas blindness or low vision affects individuals of all ages, all income levels, all genders, and all cultures. And whereas there are different degrees of visual diversity, meaning someone can be legally blind but still see colors, shapes, movement, and varying degrees of light. And whereas white canes and guide dogs are tools that people who are blind or visually diverse can use to identify themselves and to navigate their environment with greater independence. And whereas white cane and guide dog users have the right to travel safely while enjoying all of the rights, benefits, and privileges of living, working, and playing in this great city of Portland. And whereas every citizen should be aware that Oregon law requires that drivers stop and remain stopped until a person carrying a white cane or using a guide dog has fully crossed the street. And whereas October 15th was designated by the United States Congress in 1964 as a day of education and celebration of the advent of white canes and guide dogs for independent and safe travel. Now, therefore, I, Ted Wheeler, Mayor of the City of Portland, Oregon, the City of Roses, do hereby proclaim October 15th, 2023 to be White Cane Awareness Day in Portland and call upon public officials, members of civic organizations, and all people in the City of Portland to join as we work to ensure the benefits and privileges of life in our great city are available to persons who are blind or visually diverse. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move to the regular agenda, please. Item number 860. This is an emergency ordinance.
Accept grant from Multnomah County and authorize intergovernmental agreement for emergency shelter expansion and appropriate funds received FY 2023 through 24.
Colleagues, this grant agreement with Multnomah County facilitates the transfer of two amounts of funding to the City of Portland. The first is $6.8 million in state funds through Governor Kotek's Oregon All-In Executive Order Plan. That funding passes to the Multnomah County Multi-Agency Coordination Group and to the City of Portland, the entity building and operating the shelter site. This funding will pay for capital as well as 6 months of operational costs for the Clinton Triangle Temporary Alternative Shelter site. The second is $4.7 million in funding coming from the Metro Supportive Housing Services funding for investments in capital in the development of the next 2 temporary alternative shelter sites. This allows the city to expand low-barrier alternative shelter capacity, provide critical support services, and help unhoused Portlanders rapidly move back into stable housing. I want to thank the governor for her support of the Clinton Triangle Temporary Alternative Shelter site. Her partnership and funding has allowed for the purchase of sleeping pod units as well as operations for these essential services. I also want to thank the state legislature for approving the governor's budget that includes ongoing operational funding for this site for the remainder of the biennium. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the county chair, Jessica Vega Peterson, as well as the County Board of Commissioners for Metro SHS funds to invest in this model. This low barrier model is a critical component of the shelter continuum, and we've received multiple requests from Portland partners and providers to be able to refer into this site. Colleagues, the Clinton Triangle site is now nearly full, with 185 guests at this one site, over 40 of whom have their paperwork now ready to transition into housing. We're working to house these guests as quickly as possible in partnership with Housing Navigators and the Joint Office of Homeless Services at Multnomah County. I continue to be committed to addressing the needs of those living unsheltered in our community and those impacted throughout Portland. I will continue working to increase available shelter beds, and will keep working with our partners at the county, metro, and state to continue identifying funding opportunities for this expansion. Skylar Brocker-Knapp from my office is here, over there, actually, to answer any questions if people have questions. Any questions? Commissioner Mapps.
Yeah, Mr.
Skylar,
Mayor.
do you want to come over?
Yeah, we probably should bring Sky up for this one.
Could you introduce yourself for the record, please?
Yeah, Skylar Brocker-Knapp. I'm a senior policy advisor for the mayor.
Thanks, Sky.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Commissioner. Sorry.
Sure, I want to be clear up front. I support this ordinance and will be voting for it in a couple of minutes. I do have kind of a technical question.
Yeah.
On this, should I think of this IGA as being part of the joint office, or is this kind of separate from our work?
Separate. So this is just many IGAs with the same parties, but this is just another additional one that allows us to accept the funds, basically, from the government.
Great, thank you very much. That's what I thought, and here I'll pivot and just address my colleagues on council. I'm really delighted to see this move forward, and frankly, I think this is perhaps a model for how the city and the county can proceed in the future to address houseless issues. You know, a thing I like about this is that we have a clean IGA that clearly defines what the city's doing, what the county's doing, and how the money flows. Alternatively, what we tend to do is to put tens of millions of dollars in a black box, which is the joint office. I think it is not a coincidence that we are actually making progress on this today, whereas many of our shared projects over in the joint office remain mired in ongoing discussions. So I really want to congratulate the mayor and thank the county. This is an example of, I think, really good, constructive, grown-up cooperation, and I hope that we can use this as a model moving forward. Specifically, I think this might be a great way to approach getting a sobering center stood up here in Portland, Oregon. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Mapps. Commissioner Gonzalez.
I want to echo, this is good news. I'll have some other comments on the general relationship a little bit later. My main question is what is the budget impact of this receipt? How did we bake this into this year's budget? And maybe that's more a question for the budgeting office, but to the extent you can speak to it, I'm just trying to track this flow. So we have 6.6 coming from the state of Oregon, I'm going to round it up, 7 coming from Metro SHS. And how does that flow through budget-wise?
Yeah, I can give the high level. Budget office and probably Sarah Morrissey, my boss, would be able to give you the detailed answer. But at a high level, that 6.8 from the state, from the Oregon All-In executive order, was for the first site, so Clinton Triangle site. It was capital, so like the pods specifically and the hygiene stations, and then 6 months of operations. So it's actually backfilling what we've kind of front-loaded from our own budget. For this fiscal year, and then the 4.7 is new capital dollars for the second and third site. So that's specifically designated for pods and hygiene stations for the second and third task sites.
So prior to receipt of these, were we assuming receipt of these funds in this year's fiscal year? I'm just trying to understand, is this creating new available dollars, or were we assuming this revenue source in the current budget?
Yes, so we are assuming, yes, both revenue sources. We've already paid that 6.8 basically, so it's kind of paying us back in this fiscal year, and then the 4.7 is new. Okay,
so but 4.7 is new.
Yes.
6.6 was already assumed
Correct.
in the budget as additional revenue. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep, no worries.
Thank you. Is there public testimony on this item?
No one signed up.
All right, this is an emergency ordinance. Please call the roll.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio. Ryan.
I'm very pleased to see this coming through council today. Truly, I sat in many meetings with Multnomah County shortly after I was sworn in 3 years ago, where investments for shelters with services for those suffering from multiple diagnoses received very cold receptions from the status quo at the county. As such, this common sense investment is a big step that reflects culture change at the county's joint office. These shelter sites, based after a model of the Safe Rest Villages, which you'll hear more about this afternoon, are so important to what is a core tenet of social work, meeting people where they are. The supportive housing and village model is finding success because it does just that. It takes into account the reality that not all people living in the streets are move-in ready. The support services woven into these sites are essential components in helping service or rule-adverse friends be neighbors. I'd like to commend Skylar for her hard work in establishing and running the temporary alternative shelter sites with our partners at Urban Alchemy, and for the role in securing this funding. Thank you, Mayor. Refreshing to see this concrete example of the city and county working together. We have some momentum. I vote aye.
Gonzalez.
So pleased that the county acted on their commitment to provide valuable services at task sites. While sites like Safe Rest Villages and task sites provide shelter, we need the commitment of resources to truly move lives forward and eliminate the risk of chronic homelessness and its underlying causes. Glad that the county is committed to the city's approach of getting as many people off the streets as quickly as possible, rather than waiting and throwing all funds towards permanent housing while the homeless challenges continue to grow. Grateful for the state's investment in the development of additional task sites. I've advocated for more transition housing, and I'm pleased that the state recognizes that need as well. Accepting these funds will fundamentally alter the course of hundreds of lives over the coming months and years. Appreciative of the continued partnership, we'll continue to be vocal on the needs for these sites and their services. Hope this is not the last time that the county and state support the city of Portland, as we've been forced to react quickly to the humanitarian crisis on our streets and the stress it puts on our residents and first responders. I vote aye.
Wheeler.
I vote aye. The ordinance is adopted. Thank you. Item 861, please.
Authorize acquisition of shields for research and development by the Special Resources Division.
Colleagues, this is a second reading of a non-emergency ordinance to permit the Portland Police Bureau to purchase 3 types of crowd management shields. There were some questions that probably we could not answer as fully as we would have liked last week, so I have Captain Jake Jensen here today in the event that people have more specific questions. But just briefly, purchase and evaluation of this equipment is requested to comply with the recommendations of the Independent Monitor, LLC, to rebuild a new crowd management unit at the Portland Police Bureau. Colleagues, Commissioner Ryan, I remember you had some questions in particular about the kinds of shields, and I just wanted to make sure we had the captain here to answer any last-minute questions anybody might have.
Well, I was just taken with the photos. I found the old school shields to be kind of triggering in more of a like war climate, if you will, where these shields look to be more common sense in terms of actually providing protection from head to toe. So that just was an observation. Yeah. Any comments you'd like to make on that?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Mayor, councilors. Jake Jensen, Captain, Portland Police Bureau. So there's kind of 3 different styles of shields that public order shields come in. One is the kind of small, lots of people refer to them as like the Captain America shields, the small round shields, 2-foot shields. And then there's a 4-foot and a 6-foot rectangular shield. And then within there's, different varieties that interlock and don't interlock and stuff. And so our sense is that we need to get kind of each of the models and kind of decide which one to go with. Certainly the 4-foot and the 6-foot especially shields provide more coverage, more protection. The trade-off there is that they're heavier, they're more cumbersome to move around, right? With a 2-foot shield, you can move that around pretty easily and be more mobile. With a 6-foot shield, you've got this big 6-foot piece of equipment in front of you that hinders your ability to move around. And so for our environment here in Portland, we're not sure which one's going to be the best.
Which one are we purchasing?
We're going to purchase the one of each sort of size.
Oh, okay. I was misled. Okay, got it. Okay. I thought it was just the tall ones that were from head to toe, the clear ones.
Yeah, I don't remember the first bit of testimony. Was a bit of a blur because of the emergency alert, but I've since clarified with our shield SMEs that we do want to get each of the different sizes to see how they're going to work with our environment here, with our tactics.
Okay. And then you report back?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, we before we buy any shields or enough shields to outfit a team, we would have to come back in front of City Council and do another presentation.
Great. I appreciate this. I know, why would this happen last week? Was it the alert that we
had the
That's
emergency
right.
alert right as they got up there to give their testimony.
Now I remember. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Mapps.
I think we just touched on it in your last comments, but I just wanted to clarify. We're not buying shields here to deploy to everybody. Rather, the way I understand it, essentially the federal government is making us explore different tactics for crowd control positions or situations. One of the things they're prodding us to look at is the kind of equipment we use, and so we're kind of buying some exploratory or shields to experiment with to figure out what is the right solution for Portland. Is that correct-ish?
Yeah, so the shields we're buying are strictly for research and development. We're not going to deploy with them. We are only going to test them out, carry them around in a controlled training environment so that we can experience firsthand what they feel like, how they move. And the impetus for that is, yes, recommendations we've received from the IMLC report that the city commissioned, and then also from the NTOA standards, which the NTOA, the National Tactical Officers Association, is a national, not a government, but just a national standard-setting body for the police industry.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
Great. Thank you, Captain, for being here. Any further discussion? This is a second reading of a non-emergency ordinance. Keelan, please call the roll.
Maps,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Wheeler.
As we move forward towards redeveloping PPB's crowd management team in compliance with the DOJ settlement agreement and national best practices, as recommended by the subject matter experts at Independent Monitor LLC, I'm committed to doing all that I can to prepare our police bureau to support gathering safely and constitutionally, and to rebuild a team of officers who specialize in this important work. So I'm proud to join my colleagues in voting aye. The ordinance is adopted. Thank you, Captain, for being here. Appreciate it. Next item on the regular agenda is 852, please. I'm sorry, 862.
Vacate portions of Southeast Grand Avenue and Southeast Tenino Street, subject to certain conditions and reservations.
Colleagues, this is also a second reading. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, please call the roll. Keelan.
Maps.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. To the items that were pulled off of the consent agenda, 845, if you could read that one first, please.
Authorize legal services agreement with Law TMR PLLC for outside counsel related to Portland Harbor.
Colleagues, this item was pulled from consent by a member of the public. City Attorney Robert Taylor and Chief Deputy City Attorney Lynn Vu are here to walk us through the ordinance. Just to highlight a couple of items. Number one, this is related to a very specialized portion of the law related to our Superfund obligations. Second of all, we have attempted to fill this position on several occasions in the past unsuccessfully. Thirdly, in order to fill this position by a third party, assuming that we would be successful in finding a third party outside law firm to manage it, it would cost more than what we have offered here. So I see this as a prudent move, but I will turn it over to our city attorney to give us some of the basic facts.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, Robert Taylor, City Attorney. Commissioners, it's a pleasure to be here to talk about this. Essentially, what we are proposing to do is to convert an employee to an outside counsel position. It would be similar to taking a full-time employee and then making them an independent contractor. It's, in my judgment, in the best interest of the city to do this for several reasons. The first, as the mayor mentioned, this is a very complex case, the Portland Harbor Superfund. The case is 2 decades old. It involves discharges over 10 miles of the river. There's over 100 potentially responsible parties. And there's hundreds of lawyers currently engaged by all of those parties in this case. Second, as the mayor mentioned, this area of the law is highly specialized, and the facts involved are unique to the city and the river, and so this requires that specialized legal and factual knowledge. Thirdly, we're at a stage in this case where continuity of our legal services is very important. We are heading into a mediation process with all of those potentially responsible parties to try to understand the allocation of responsibility. So to change our legal services arrangement at this point, in my view, would prejudice the city and harm the city in a way that I am not willing to recommend. Fourth, as the mayor mentioned, we have had difficulty in recruiting for this position in the past. We also face the difficulty of hiring outside counsel from other law firms in the area because they represent other parties in this case, and there are conflicts of interest that we can't get waived. And then finally, as the mayor mentioned, in terms of the financial terms of this, If you look at how much we are paying on a yearly basis and the required hours that are being required to work, it comes out to an hourly rate of $200 an hour for this work. If you compare that to the average we pay to our outside counsel on other matters, that average is $364 an hour. Just last year, the Oregon State Bar put out a survey, and the average billing rate of an attorney in Oregon is $344 an hour. And so by that measure, the $200 an hour here is a prudent investment by the city. I also want to just mention that under this arrangement, the outside counsel is going to bear additional risk and expense that they don't as a city employee. They do not have city health insurance benefits. They do not have retirement benefits. They're responsible for their own bar dues, their own CLE expenses, and their own business liability insurance. And then finally, the bureaus responsible for Portland Harbor are paying the current legal expenses for this. We plan to work with them in the budget process so that there's no net impact on the city's bottom line from going from this in-house counsel to outside counsel arrangement.
Thank you. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you for that, Robert. So the summary doesn't necessarily give me some visibility, some details I want to make sure I understand. So is this we characterize it as a not to exceed 2.2 million over 5 years. Is this a 5-year contract? I mean, what is the nature of the contractual relationship?
It is a 5-year contract. It can be terminated by either party on 30 days' notice. Again, for the sake of continuity, I think it's important for us to secure these services over a longer period of time so that we can rely on those services being available to us. And because of that duration and the size of the contract, that's why we're asking council to approve it.
I mean, I have negotiated a number of these contracts on both sides of the equation, and I don't recall ever committing to 5 years. Now, that's in the private sector in a little different dynamics, but, and I fully recognize the 30-day out, but that seems just to assure the city flexibility, fully understanding we need continuity of services here. It sounds like has real inside knowledge. Tying us down to 5 years, one, it's kind of mischaracterizes our real commitment if we can terminate on 30 days, but I'm not sure I understand that. You know, I suspect this is someone who isn't just going to disappear if we continue to pay them well. And I don't know. I guess I'm not convinced on what we're getting from the 5 years is worth, the potential outlay.
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. It's important to keep in mind that this case is different than a lot of other cases in that it's been around for 20 years. It's going to continue to be around for a long time, probably beyond 5 years, to be honest with you. And it is important for us, from a continuity perspective, to really try to secure these legal services over that period of time. Now, you're right, we can terminate it on 30 days' notice. So, is it a 5-day contract or is it a 30-day contract? But that's why we have tried to really secure those legal services given the unique nature of this case. And it's going to be with us for a while.
Is that a mutual termination, right?
Yes.
So they can terminate on 30 days' notice as well. So I guess the second question is, are they guaranteed payment, or do they have to submit an invoice every month? I mean, what are the mechanics on billing?
Yeah, it would be like any other outside counsel arrangement. They've got to submit billings, and then we review the billings, we approve them, and then we pay them.
And are they going to be billing in typical increments of quarter hour or 10th of hour, or are they billing all day? I'm just kind of curious what the mechanics are looking like there.
Yeah, the mechanics would be just like other outside counsel contracts where they're billing us by the 10th of an hour and giving us those detailed invoices.
Got it. And are they precluded from taking out other legal work, or do we have any kind of exclusivity in this arrangement?
It's exclusive, it is exclusive, and they're committing to a minimum of 1,900 hours for work for the city. So
Per year.
Per year, yeah.
And and I think you referenced the Oregon State Bar Survey. I mean, last time I looked at that, the 2022, I think a typical private practice lawyer is billing about 100 to 130 hours per month, depending on where they are. I had concern assuming 1920 or 1960. I just don't know many mid-level lawyers that actually bill that many hours anymore. Certainly, I did that early in my career, but that as you get into mid or more senior in this marketplace, that's a lot of hours, and to base a contract on that seems like a lot to me. But I'm just curious how you came up. Was that just 40 hours a week times 48 weeks? Is that the mechanism?
It is, and we were trying to get close to approximate the number of hours that our in-house lawyers work, and try to guarantee and lock in that commitment from this outside counsel.
Yeah, I mean, and just to be, blunt, so when I owned my own practice, I had to spend a substantial amount of time making rain, administration, where I don't get a bill for that time. You're actually working, but you don't get to monetize any of those hours, and that's why you see, people in small practices, it's more like 100 hours a month to 130 that they actually can monetize per month. So if we're assuming 150, I don't know, it's not, I guess I'm concerned about that multiplier. I'm not concerned about the rate. I mean, the rate is a product of how many hours you're guaranteed. 200 is not obscene relative to what you'd pay going down the street to a law firm here. But the assumption of 1960 in this type of contract seems like a lot to me.
Yeah, and part of that, you're right that if you're in the private sector, you are spending a significant amount of time out there trying to get new clients and new cases. Here, under this arrangement, she's devoting the working hours to the city, so there won't be that sort of pressure to do that sort of rainmaking, and that's why we think that number is reasonable. And if it turns out it's not, we can work through that and negotiate something different. And but again, I think this is in the best interest of the city to try to secure these services and maintain this continuity at this important time.
And Robert, one last question here. So for staff attorneys in your office, what is your assumption of the benefits load for each one of them, roughly speaking? Roughly speaking
Is if you take the annual salary and multiply that by 50%, that gives you just the kind of loaded benefits and salary costs of that employee. And then over and above that, there's some additional overhead costs associated with each employee.
So, and that makes sense to me. It seems somewhat similar to my office when I'm looking at benefit loads. But if I do that math, she's currently making 190 and change. So, why wouldn't we just come up with a contract that is roughly 300K a year? Again, if she's working full-time, is exclusively to us, can't do outside work. I'm just curious why we don't go that would be cheaper for the city and would be more, I think I'd argue that's more befitting what this actual arrangement is, if she's exclusively to us.
Yeah, that's a great question, and we were trying to negotiate something that made sense both for that employee and for the city, and that's where we arrived at that figure. She would probably want more, and we might want to pay less, but this was a figure we were able to arrive at.
Okay, thank you. I'm good for now.
Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez. Anybody else? Great. Do we have public testimony on this item?
One person signed up, Mark Porras.
Good morning, Mark.
Yep. Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Mark Porras. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm an ordinary Portlander concerned with government transparency. I appreciate City Attorney Taylor's presence today to explain the item, and I really appreciate Commissioner Gonzalez's interest in this. I asked to have this item pulled after learning that some community members were having trouble figuring out what law TMR LLC was. And it turned out that the original wording in the emergency ordinance was missing a P. We learned that it's law TMR PLLC, and it's a Minnesota-based professional limited liability company owned by Senior Deputy City Attorney Tina Richards. So this is a 5-year, $2.2 million sole source contract for legal services related to the Portland Harbor Superfund site with an out-of-state company owned by a current city employee. City code states that it shall not be necessary that there be a reading of the titles or the effect of the items on a consent agenda. And as the conversation between City Attorney Taylor and Commissioner Gonzalez just showed us, this is an item that clearly belonged on the regular agenda from the start, or at least one that needed more advanced scrutiny by City Council. It's also a missed opportunity for the city to tell the story of the Portland Harbor Superfund site and why it might be important to retain an out-of-state attorney to provide legal services. According to the Portland Audubon, the Superfund designations reserved for the most contaminated and complicated sites in the country. The site's contaminated with 29 compounds that pose a risk to human health and 89 compounds that pose a risk to ecological health. And City Attorney Robert Taylor is quoted in the article in the Oregonian this morning saying this about the sole source contract. We're trying to maintain a continuity of legal services, and it makes sense to us from a business perspective. From an ordinary Portland community member's perspective, with the amount of information provided by the city in the emergency ordinance, it doesn't make sense. According to the Oregonian, Ms. Richards has been working remotely for over a year. So during that time, has Ms. Richards been mentoring other city attorneys and helping them get up to speed on the Portland Harbor Superfund site project? Or is the city's plan to outsource this legal work until the harbor has been fully restored? I mean, as we just heard, Ms. Richards could cancel this contract within 30 days, and then where does the city stand? So I hope there is a plan to get some other city attorneys up to speed on this. So to conclude, please err on the side of transparency and put multi-million-dollar sole source contracts on the regular agenda. And for consent agenda items, please ensure that there's enough supporting information to help the public and also City Council understand what you're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
That completes testimony.
That completes testimony. All right, colleagues, any further questions, thoughts? Commissioner Mapps?
I move we accept the report.
Commissioner Mapps moves. Can I get a second?
Sorry, this is an emergency.
Oh, you're right. It is.
No need?
Yeah, it's good to practice.
Oh, there you go.
So this is an emergency ordinance. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Mapps.
Aye.
Ryan.
Thank you for pulling this. It was a good conversation. I appreciated all your questions, Commissioner Gonzalez, and I'll vote aye.
Sorry.
Gonzalez.
Nay.
Wheeler. Oh.
For procedural purposes, I will vote no. The ordinance fails. Colleagues, I would like to move for reconsideration. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a second. Please call the roll on the reconsideration.
Mapps.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Nay.
Wheeler.
Aye. Colleagues, the reconsideration passes. I would like to move an amendment to remove the emergency clause from this item. Can I get a second?
Second.
Commissioner Mapps, second. Any further discussion on the amendment? Please call the roll.
Mapps.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. Before I move this to second, I'd like to just make a brief comment. First of all, Mark, I think you made some good points in terms of making sure that there is full information on the consent agenda in the items as discussed. I think that's a reasonable recommendation. I wish we didn't have to do this at all. But the fact of the matter is Portland is host to one of the nation's most significant Superfund sites. And it's not going to cost millions. It's not going to cost tens of millions. It's not even going to cost hundreds of millions to ultimately remediate this issue over the coming decades. It will cost billions to remediate this issue. And I want to make sure that the city is as well represented in this complicated process as possible. What this will do is fill a position, as our legal counsel advised us, we have attempted to fill in the past and have been unsuccessful in so doing. We get somebody who has the expertise, the proven expertise in a highly technical and specialized part of environmental law. Somebody who already knows our issues, understands our case from our perspective, and is prepared to provide the continuity of our case going forward. Moreover, from just a taxpayer perspective, I'm happy that we can do this at a lower cost than it would cost us if we have to go out there and recruit an outside law firm, presumably from outside the city of Portland, since almost every one of the law firms in the city of Portland that have this expertise are already representing somebody else in this case. So we would have to go to another state, presumably. We would have to find a law firm, and we would pay them more. Then our legal counsel would have to bring them up to speed on all of the aspects of this case, which, as we heard from Director Taylor, has been underway for decades in the city of Portland. So on the whole, I think this is a very prudent move, notwithstanding the concerns that were raised by Mark and others. And I appreciate, Mark, you for your testimony. So this is a first reading of a non-emergency ordinance. It moves to second reading. Next item from the consent, also pulled 946, please. 846, sorry.
Accept the Chief Procurement Officer's report recommending the award of contracts for vehicle and abandoned vehicle towing and storage services.
Colleagues, the city contracts with several local tow companies to provide towing and storage services for ourselves and various partner city agencies. These contractors provide critical services to our community, including removing hazards from roads and highways and clearing vehicles after accidents for our first responders. PBOT and Procurement Services recently performed a competitive solicitation to select tow companies to provide this vital city service. Jess Klein, Procurement Services Manager, is here to present the report. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Jess Klein, Procurement Manager with Procurement Services. Joining me this morning to answer any questions that you may have is Tim Moore, Towing Administrator, and Josh Lynch, Interim Regulatory Parking Division Manager with PBOT. On March 15, 2023, Council approved ordinance number 191207 for Procurement Services to competitively solicit the vehicle towing and storage services and abandoned vehicle towing and storage services in accordance with Portland City Code. The Chief Procurement Officer has advertised and received proposals for RFP number 2100 on behalf of the Portland Bureau of Transportation with the maximum value of each price agreement not to exceed $5 million per agreement over 5 years. Proposals were opened on June 7, 2023, and 9 proposals were received. The Evaluation Committee reviewed the proposals and recommended awarding to all of the proposing firms, which means we have 9 price agreements in various amounts. These amounts were based on the towing capability and capacity of the companies in question. There are, give me just a second here, no contractor who was awarded is state co-bid certified. All contractors hold a current City of Portland business tax registration and are in full compliance with all city contracting requirements. Procurement Services recommends that the council accept this report and authorize the Chief Procurement Officer to execute price agreements for the awarded contractors.
Colleagues, any questions? Public testimony, this was pulled by a member of the public, so I assume they'll be testifying.
Yep, we have Alan Combs online.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yes, hi. Good morning, Mayor Wheeler and council members. My name is Alan Combs, pronounced he, him. To ensure the improvement of city welfare and sustainability of the city's towing program, I ask that you condition entering into these contracts in item 846 as I described below. I'm a fortunate Portlander. I have the time and means, and I'm as likely to be seen walking or riding a bike in town as I can be seen driving, and I have the luxury of time to observe problems in my community. I'm pleased to see that the city has restarted its towing, but I can't see how you can accept these contracts without considering whether they will lead to improved safety and quality of life for a majority of Portlanders. Traffic on our streets in my central East Side neighborhood is at an all-time high. Violation of parking and motor vehicle laws also remains high. They are related as Portlanders are avoiding walking, rolling, riding bikes, and taking mass transit in part because of the environment created by a lack of motor vehicle law enforcement. The city remains awash with cars violating city and state ordinances. We still have many people living in their cars and RVs. This is an understandable strategy for the unhoused, but these vehicles regularly park where they are not allowed. such as areas with no overnight parking or in residential neighborhoods where they remain for days at a time. Usually things do not improve with time as no action is taken. As impolitic as it may be to say, the majority of Portlanders do not believe this should be tolerated as some sort of new normal. I, for example, have called in vehicles violating overnight parking rules many, many times, and I've never seen a ticket, let alone a tow truck. Approximately 20% of each tow fee will go to parking enforcement. What can you say today to convince Portlanders that timely enforcement will occur? I also recommend that you condition approval of these contracts with the concurrent adoption of parking enforcement metrics aimed at improving response rates to identified violations. Vehicle fatality rates remain 20% over pre-COVID levels, and the enforcement of motor vehicle laws, including parking laws, improves the safety of our citizens, full stop. And one comment about the waiver for people without the means, I support that, but I ask that you consider limiting it to no more than one waiver per year per individual. And with many equity programs, you'll end up with frequent flyers who will not change their behavior if they know they can simply just get their car back over and over again, and that will endanger safety. And remember, fatality rates remain at an all-time high. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Commissioner Mapps moves the report. Can I get a second?
Second.
Commissioner Ryan seconds the report. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Mapps.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye, the report's accepted. We are adjourned.